melanin is popping.
I'll tell you right now, I love my melanin.
There's actually 50 shades of melanin.
Legalize it. Yeah. Melanin.
Hey guys, PJ here, creator, producer, and co-host of Highly Melanated Podcasts, hosted along with myself, Yushi, Red, and Blair. What you're about to hear right now is part 2 of Highly Melanated Voices. Again, the episode itself, the original episode was roughly 2 hours long. So if you guys actually want to take the time, if you have not listened to part 1, I really suggest you guys stop what you're doing and just literally stop what you're doing, go to part 1 and listen to that one. If you have not, there are some awesome gems that are been told throughout this whole process of putting this together. This was so amazing. I'm so grateful for it. So anyway, enough of me talking once again, and let's get back into hearing what everybody had to say.
What I've learned from my elders that stuck with me up until this point in my life is be careful who you let touch you. I know this sounds so weird to some, but I don't let just anybody touch me. From the time I was a child, my parents, they were very adamant. My grandmother, the roots, they always were adamant about be careful who you let touch you, up until the point where be careful who you let even touch your hair or do your hair, because it might fall out. And as crazy as that sound, I test that theory and came to find out that it is very true. But that is the lesson that I've learned from my elders. That is what I walk with every day. And now even more so, because the walk of life that I'm in now, it is so imperative that I can't just let anybody touch me. And the gifts that are instilled inside of me, the powers that I have been dealt with by God, I really just can't let any individual just touch me. See, we have to understand that when we let people touch us, sometimes we have that transferring of spirits. We have that transferring. Like, you ever seen that movie with Denzel Washington? I forgot the name of that movie, but it was like, each person touched one person and that spirit that's in that person goes in that person. As weird as that movie was, there is a ring of truth to that movie. So one thing that I always walk with, no matter where I go, where I stand, I am very careful on who touch me and where they touch me. A handshake, that's even hard for me to do sometimes. I'd rather just say hello, nod my head, much rather than really do a handshake. Because aside from my parents instilled that in me, as I got older, I don't know if it's that OCD that's in me, but it's like, I don't know where your hand's been, so it's a lot of things, but that is the one thing that I've kept with me ever since I've been a child. I am 40 years old now, and now more than ever, I don't let anybody touch me. And I don't go around touching people either. Another thing is, it's a invasion of space. So that is the thing that I've kept with me, that from birth up until now, I've kept it, and I'm going to continue to keep it, and I hope it helps you. God bless.
Hey, this is Demi from the Spilled Milk Podcast. What has my elders taught me? First and foremost, they've taught me to be motivated and driven. I strive to be the best me that you've ever seen. I always try to excel at everything I do, whether it's my corporate job, to my podcast, to my extracurricular activities, whatever the case is. I always try to excel and succeed at whatever I do. Whether I fail or not, I always have a burning desire to become a better me. Second thing is compassion. I realize a lot of people lack empathy. You don't really know what somebody's going through, and kindness really does go a long way. Whether you see them smiling or not, I always try to be like a beacon of light. Like every time I see you, you're always so happy. At least I can bring you some type of joy, even if you're going through something. And finally, I feel like they've taught me to be true to myself and stand firmly from the mishaps and the mistreatments of America. I realize a lot of people go through things, even at work or at home, where they're always being mistreated and stuff like that. And I feel like my elders have taught me you need to stand up for yourself. You need to be able to say, no, I won't allow you to do this to me. This is who I am, and I will not allow you to make me feel lesser than anything else that I was destined to be.
Hey, this is Toya. You can find me on Instagram at Navina Latoya Inspire. That's NUVENALATOYA Inspire. I am originally from Detroit, currently in San Antonio, Texas, and the advice I would give to the next generation is to find out who you are so that you can give the world the best version of you. Self-care and self-love is extremely important because people will not treat you like you should be treated, and then you would think that is the norm. But if you know who you are, know what you want, then you will not accept anything less. So I always tell people, if you're in your 20s, try everything, do everything, and find out your why, your purpose, learn more about your culture, and just take care of you. Because as much as we sacrifice for other people, I'm not exactly sure that people have the time nor the motivation to sacrifice as much as we give of ourselves to them, to give that same energy to ourselves. So I really think that it is extremely valuable to find out who you are, so that you know what you want, you know how to make yourself happy, you know how to find joy, and you know how to give the best version of yourself to the world, because you have a gift. You've been given a gift to bless other people in the world, and I think it is extremely important that you not allow other people's fears to become your fears, right? So be very protective of your space, and learn and understand and invest in who you are, what you want, so that nobody else can put their fears on you, and you can become the very best version of yourself. That would be my advice for the next generation. So thank you so much for listening. Bye.
This is Jacinta from Newark, New Jersey. I want to say that what I learned from my mom was never to judge. She came from very, very humble beginnings. Significant childhood trauma, abuse. But as I watched her as I grew up, I noticed that she will accept anyone from any walks of life so that she can learn to continue to accept herself and her past. So I want to say that, during my upbringings and even now, and she has moved on, I want to say that I continue to walk with the same idea that I never want to judge anyone, despite whatever things that I might dislike. I want to say that judgment will never be passed by me. And it's something that I cherish from my mom, because it gives me the opportunity to remain open-minded and humble and accepting of others despite their flaws. And it's something that I try to instill in my children, my boys, when it comes to building friendships and interacting with family. It's just super important for me to see them just accept people for who they are and what they do and what they say. It just doesn't matter, just as long as there is a sense of respect. And with that, it just brings more hope with the idea that people would just love one another despite, what the world might think of them. So that's my 2 cents. Hope that's helpful. All right, you take care. Bye.
Part 2. One lesson that I would want to leave for generations to come would be that self-love is important, and self-love comes with self-awareness. So one of the things I definitely have started to learn, and I've learned this a lot with therapy, is that self-love and self-care are intertwined. And when I say that, I think about the fact that taking time for yourself, doing things that appreciate yourself, whether that's being alone, doing something that brings you pure joy, whether it's going to a specific place or traveling or seeing a friend or family and spending time with them. And sometimes it is mirror work, which I've started to learn to do from reading books from authors like Brene Brown or Lisa Nichols, or listening to the Mind Valley podcast. It's just this thought that as an individual, in order for me to continue to grow and progress and create my art, and to just live a more abundant life, I have to appreciate myself while I'm here. I have to acknowledge when I do amazing things. I have to do things that also feed me spiritually, mentally, and physically in some shape, form, or fashion. And so one of the things that I do quite often is I actually write affirmations for myself, and they're on my wall, and I read them every morning, every day before I leave my home. I literally read and remind myself about the fact that every day is a new blessing. Money is drawing to me, that I am deserving of the love that I give to others every day. And appreciating myself and showing gratitude for the life that I have now. I know that self-love, that awareness, and that appreciation is what brings more abundant, positive things and repels and protects, quote unquote, my energy, more so than cutting off people and being cutthroat. It's more so about me living in this state of appreciation and gratitude and love for the life that I know I will have and the life that I do already have.
Peace, family. It's your girl TT from TT Talks, representing Tallahassee, Florida. You can find me on IG at TITI Talks. So glad to participate in this. I just want to say that I am a product of intentional eldership. I have been so blessed over my life to have sat at the feet of some really fantastic and magical elders. And one of the biggest things that they taught me was, one, honor your ancestors always in all things. And also solve problems, not feelings. That was another big one. And that is definitely something that I would like to impart to the younger generation, especially in terms of being authentic on top of all of that. Being your authentic self, knowing yourself, knowing who you are, knowing your purpose. Because once you know your purpose, everything else will fall in line.
Good evening. My name is Robert Christopher Beckford. I'm a 36-year-old Brooklynite. Chris Beckford on Instagram. And I just wanted to share a little bit about the lessons that I've learned from the village that raised me. 3 important things that I've learned in the time that I've been blessed to be here on this planet. Firstly is never to be afraid of hard work. Hard work takes on a lot of forms. Hard work can be daunting. Hard work can be hard, hence its name. But I think that sometimes we get afraid or we get intimidated by the hard work it takes to be successful, doing the hard stuff in a world where we want instant gratification. We want things to happen now. My grandmother, God rest her soul, who was a nurse for over 50 years, she always told me that, when whatever you do and whatever you endeavor to do, if the road is not easy, good. It's not meant to be easy. And you got to step up to the game to achieve it. And so it served me very well in all of my educational pursuits and my career opportunities. And I've just felt that, you know, the more hard work that I'm not afraid of, you know, the more I can go on to achieve. And you know, I think that's something that we kind of need to remind ourselves on, is that never to be afraid of hard work.
I'm Julius. My IG handle is PrinceJuju04, and I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. My advice that I received from my elders, it's 3 people in particular. One person is my uncle, who just recently passed at the beginning of this year. It was at a time period when I was leaving my full-time job to pursue my dance movement therapy journey. And everybody was against it, and he was the only one who was supportive of me. And I asked him in that time period, what is a man? Because at that time I was hearing a lot of things about toxic masculinity, and I wanted to know, what is a man? And he actually said to me, a man is confident in himself, and he stands on his own 2 feet. And he encouraged me later on and said, in that conversation, said, Jay, you can do it. I believe you gonna make it. Don't worry about it. My aunt, who's actually 100 years old, encouraged me at the beginning of this year. And she told me to pray, release it, and wait on God. That everything that she ever got in life, she prayed, released it, let it go, and waited on God. My last advice was from Jennifer Lewis, the actress. I saw her in an interview, and she actually said, nobody is going to save you. And that resonated with me, because we live in a fairy tale world sometimes, and we expect other people to save us. And in this real world, nobody is going to save you.
The most important lesson I've ever learned from an elder was from my dad, who taught me that the idea of masculinity is never worth your mental health. The idea that you cannot cry or show emotion is not worth you ending up in a position where you possibly have a breakdown. Always protect your heart and your emotions.
Number 2, lessons for the next generation. Okay. I would say, keep a healthy imagination, because that leads to manifestation. You are a creator of your own life. You need your imagination in order to visualize. It's a tool. Keep a healthy imagination. I would also say, learn the rules. Wherever you are, your society, learn the rules. And then learn your rights, your human rights, the right to exist, so that you know how to break the rules when time calls for it. You will feel confident in your decision. I'm breaking the rules because I believe in something. Something has to be changed. I'm the one. I'm the voice. Thank you.
Never feel entitled to anything you didn't work hard for. And never let the heavy loads of life break you down. You must carry on. My grandmother used to say, if the elevator is broken, take your ass off and take the stairs. I mean, I could never go to her like cry. I mean, she would embrace me, but after she comfort me, then she would give me the real talk, the real deal. My mom also encouraged me to pursue a career that I love, so that I never had to work a day in my life. Fortunately for me, she allowed me to have a diverse experience, exploring anything and everything, so that I could ultimately decide what I wanted to do in life. So that was really amazing that she just literally let me try anything and pay for it. Always stay humble, give back. And if you're a Christian, of course, you know this. Put God first in everything you do and fear nothing and no one except for the Lord. Okay? All right. I'm not going to fear no one who bleeds red as me, go to the bathroom the way that I go to the bathroom. I mean, come on, you Black people, your moms have taught to you. You know where I'm going with this. And learn how to handle your business so that no one can take advantage of you. And especially all you creatives out there that are, dealing with contracts, read contracts for yourself. Never, ever, never allow anyone to handle business for you. If you're intimidated of business, take a business class, but don't trust people with your money. Don't trust people with your intellectual property. None of that.
But yeah, I feel like as a Black biracial gay man, sometimes my word is all that I have, and I use that powerfully. Like my voice and who I am and what I speak out into the universe is powerful, and it can change things. But and sometimes I often think too, like, I need to start applying that to me as well. Like, my word is my bond to myself. Because if I say that I'm going to show up for myself, I need to start showing up for myself as well. And I don't do that a lot. Because I often try to keep my word for other people, or I try to show up for other people. And if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to try my best to do it, even if it takes away from what's going on with me or what I need to be doing for myself. And I need to begin to reevaluate that lesson and not just saying my word is my bond for others, but also showing up for myself and having my word of what I say I'm going to do for myself. And that means spiritually, and that means taking time out the day just to regroup with myself. I need to just start showing up more for myself, because then I won't be able to show up for anybody else any longer. But yeah, that is just something that I hold dear, because it's something that I would hear in barbershops, because it's almost like the word, like the code of the street, like, yo, you all your word is all you got, bruh. And I will hear that all the time. And
and also be kind to yourself. Be kind to yourself. There's so many times that we will give our energy and our time to other people who sometimes may not even appreciate or see what we're doing for them. You know what I mean? And or sometimes we could be taken for granted, and we don't realize that because we're just so used to giving, right? If you're so used to being the giver, you're not going to be aware of all the times that you're giving, all the energy that you're putting out there. Also be cognitive of the energy that you're putting out, and make sure that you are also, your energy is being reciprocated. So be kind to yourself. You know what I mean? Take a moment to really ground yourself. If you're having a bad day, take a few deep breaths. I know it's easier said than done, but in all actuality, if you really do practice this, you take a moment, pull yourself back from that intense situation that you're experiencing, whether it's at work, whether it's at school, whether it's, amongst your family, amongst friends, excuse me, a conversation that escalated, got heated, and now you feel yourself, your blood is boiling up and you just want to go off on somebody or something, and really extract yourself a little bit. Take a step back, take a few deep breaths, reground yourself, and think, am what I am about to do worth the consequences? Because we don't think about those things in the moment. We only think of it after the fact. So before you do anything that you're about to regret, really ask yourself, is this worth the consequences?
Secondly, is to always be humble in everything that you do and in everything that you have. I would honestly say that life is very fragile. Life is fleeting. Life can be scary. Life can be daunting. Life to me is like an ocean, where you have times where the ocean is raging and it's crazy and it's uncertain and it's scary, and then there are times that it's peaceful. So I think in the storm is to always remember to be humble and grateful for everything, because you can turn around and, the life that you have today may not be the life you have right tomorrow. So, those two things were just impounded upon me. Be grateful, be humble, be grateful, be humble. And I do that every single day, and that's kind of served me very well. And lastly, I would honestly say that the last lesson that I learned was, just be kind. It's the easiest and simplest thing you can do. Just be kind. And, sometimes that kindness can serve you in many ways, but being kind to somebody else doesn't cost you anything, and it's sort of the most humane thing to do. And, sharing from my experiences, those are the three things that I think are most important.
I learned from my grandparents. This isn't necessarily a lesson that they taught me, but it's the lesson that I've observed, is that when both of my grandparents are from the South, and I think that it's important to understand the difference between being a leader and a follower. So I watched my grandparents have certain views because they were from the South. And for example, if you have, a child by someone, then you should then marry that child. It is only now in 2019 have I been able to reverse that mental law in my grandparents' mind and open their minds up to choosing happiness before obligations and things like that. Like, do what's healthy for you and what's right for you versus what is customary or what is known to the culture to do in order to make the best decision. You should make informed decisions, not based on circumstances, but based on what's actually the best decision. So the lesson that I would give to the next generation is don't allow anyone's old ways determine the value, or not the value, but the decisions that you plan to make for yourself. You should just do what makes you happy. Do what makes you happy. And I think millennials are doing that. And I hope that this next generation can continue that. Do what makes you happy, not what someone else thinks that is the best decision for you based on the way things used to be. Because the way things used to be, people weren't happy either. So let's keep moving towards happiness.
My advice for the next generation would be focus on your plan A. I think people always have a plan A and they focus more on plan B and C out of fear that if I really put my energy towards the thing I really want in life and my dreams, what if it doesn't happen? And so we focus our lives on the what if. And so we do everything for the backup plan and never really work towards the original plan or the dream. So I always tell people, focus on plan A, live your dream, work towards your dream. Don't put all your energy towards plan B and C. And I think we've been taught to put our energy towards plan B and C because it's safe. And safe is not always what will make you happy. And I believe in doing what makes you happy. Because at the end of the day, do you want to have regrets that, hey, I could have lived my dream. I could have tried for my dream and I didn't.
My advice to the upcoming generation or the next generation is be yourself. Don't change yourself to accommodate someone else. True love does not hurt. Any form of abuse, whether it's physical, mental, emotional abuse, is not love. Run. And the last part is do what is best for you. Your mental, physical, spiritual, and occupational health is important. You can't be helpful to anybody else if you are out of chaos and out of balance. So make sure that you are okay first and take care of yourself first before you try to help anybody else.
And at this point in your life, what is the lesson you'd want to leave for the next generation? I think that it's okay to be scared, to be brave.
think that sometimes we want to do all these things, and the only things that are stopping us is fear. And we know that the answer is, well, if you're brave enough, you can do it. If you're brave enough, you should be brave enough, so that if you don't do it, you're not brave. But I think if we sit down and we talk to ourselves and we admit that it's okay to be brave, that those hard decisions that we want to do, we'll get there eventually. Because I know for me, I put off a lot of stuff because I'm scared and I don't want to admit that I'm scared to be brave. And sometimes that fear can really hold you back. So no matter what, it's okay. Fear is good. You'll make it through. You'll do the thing. And you'll be brave.
And so even though I have been through my storms and I've been through my monsoons, I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for them. I'm so grateful for the lessons that they taught me. The hours they spent pointing to me when I didn't even know what they was going through. I didn't know what season they were in, right? I didn't know the heartache and pain that they was going through while they was putting a smile on their faces and making sure that I was eating and making sure that I was happy and joyful. And now when I'm old, I'm like, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate those storms that they was going through, that they was shielding me from, while making sure that I had sunshine. And so now, as I progress in my life, I have to do the same for everybody I meet, whether it be students that I teach, or the kids that I mentor, or even the people I interact with. But I have to make sure that when I'm going home, when I'm in my sanctuary, in my own house, in my apartment, I have to be able to, you know what? This is your season. And this season, you're enough. So yeah, that's what the elders taught me.
So I will always be indebted to my family for, instilling those things in me. I come from a family of creatives, if you could tell, and educators. Tony, Braxton, Tamar, all of them, those are my cousins. My grandmother was a psychiatrist to President Carter. A few people in the White House, actually, that really needed no shade. And mass murderers as well. You can imagine what that experience was like. My mom is a retired police officer. Musicians, architects, dancers, you name it, all very accomplished, all having diverse skill sets and abilities. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my grandfather. Sadly, he passed away this summer in July. Excuse me, emotional. He's a world-renowned artist, and his work is in the White House, the Vatican, in Rome, the Smithsonian American Art Museum, you name it, it's there. His art so vividly and emotionally tells the multi-layered stories that my elders told me about growing up, about Black people living down south and what that was like. And he used to teach me countless times about my family tree. And I remember going, oh, you say this all the time. This is boring. And he would tell me that the reason why I'm telling you this is because I want you to be proud of your roots and understand the unbelievable strength and beauty that runs inside your veins. And he sat down and said, I never became an artist for the money or to be famous. And it's so true. In fact, his gentleness and humble demeanor truly bellied the depth and breadth of his artistry. And he taught me to push boundaries with my art and to use it to make a statement about my people and where I grew up and where I come from. And remember that it's okay to be fearless and vulnerable at the same time. And so I try to illuminate that in every character I portray, any project I work on, anything that I decide to set forth and conquer. And I also illuminate that in, whenever I'm engaging with people.
One lesson that I really hold dear to my heart is your word is your bond, and it's all you have is your word, and you need to show up and have integrity to the responsibility that you chose to take on. And that's with you, that's with yourself, that's with your family, that's with this earth. Like, we need to start applying what we say we're going to do and really put it into action and really take the initiative to really pull through for ourselves and for everyone around us. So if everyone kept their word and put passion into what they say they're going to do, this world would be a better place. So yeah, our community would be better. And so you can't just talk the talk, but you have to definitely walk the walk and be present and show up. And I think that's all I have. But thank you. I appreciate it.
As far as what I would teach the next generation, just to tell them definitely give back, whether it's to your family, your communities, to be a service to others, and just to give back, be a mentor to other young people, and just be humble. And when you good to people, people will be good to you. Peace.
Well, at this point in my life, the next lesson I'd like to leave for the next generation would probably be a lesson in practices. And that would be the suggestion, to get a practice in your life. Anybody can sleep, eat, shit, fuck, and go to work. In fact, most people do. You have to get a practice in your life. Something that builds you from the inside out, as far as living life as we know it on its own terms. I'm suggesting this because this is what was suggested to me, and this is what helped improve my life quality. It helped me stop living in my own insanity. And when I say insanity, I don't mean insane insanity. I mean insanity as in making the same mistakes and expecting different results. So yeah, most people eat, shit, sleep, fuck, go to work, and don't have practices in their life. And I was one of those people who did those things, and who I was incredibly sad. I was incredibly unhappy with me, with myself. But someone tapped me on my shoulder one day and said, hey, are you willing to take a risk? And that's what I did. I started taking a risk and started doing something different and started changing a lot of things in my life. At first, it wasn't very easy. It was tremendously difficult to pull away from the things that I knew and that I was comfortable in. But most of the things that I saw that I was comfortable with later on in life are the things that made me incredibly sad. So with the practices that remain in my life, I have so many practices. I have different practices, and I've had different practices throughout the years, throughout my lifetime. Interchangeable, like they're my toolbox. I have them in my toolbox. And those are the practices that help me keep my boundaries intact, keep me strong physically, keep me strong mentally, and it helps me be emotionally available for people, for intimacy, whether it's going out to dinner or whatever it may be. It helps me stay present and aware, and helps me be mindful of others. I'm ranting and raving about practices, and I have to help you understand where I'm coming from when I say that these practices are spiritually based. And the great thing about spiritually based practices is that no one has control. No one can control them. You have to practice your way into a spiritual posture in order to receive the information. And the information is usually unconscious. Now, I can rant on, and I may, go off course with this, but my simple suggestion to The next generation is, yoga is a form of practice. Meditation is a form of practice. Slapping congas is a form of practice. And speaking aloud to your ancestors, dancing is a practice. Those things help improve my life quality. And I hope you find your practices to help improve your life quality. And in turn, you will improve the life quality of everyone around you. This is Sheba Legend. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. Stay amazing, no matter what.
And with that being said, the lesson I would like to leave the next generation, I talk quite a bit about being successful, choosing the goal, making a plan, and doing the work. Your work is going to create an opportunity for you to influence other people, but your influence is going to come through your ability to communicate, build relationships, and be accountable. But your work becomes what makes you who you are. Your work becomes your word. Your work becomes your accountability. Your work becomes your voice. Actions speak louder than words. You communicate well through words. You'll communicate even better through action. Do the work. Do the hard work. Do it often. People will follow. People will recognize, and your influence will grow. Do what you need to do for yourself, and everything else will fall into place. Knowing that your word is everything, and your work means even more. Communicate, build relationships, be accountable. Choose a goal, make a plan, do the work. They go hand in hand. Check me out for the worth of my word all over social media. DAMIENLBUTLER. I promise, your word means something, and so does the hard work you're putting in. Until next time, y'all, take care.
If I had to pass a lesson down to the next generation, the only thing I would want to say is that, remember that little spark that you had when you was younger and you said the wildest things of, I'm going to be this when I grow up, or I'm going to be this when I grow up. Never let anybody stop you from doing that dream. Just because they were so blocked and inhibited to doing it when they were younger doesn't mean that you have to. Your dreams can become reality. You can be the next biggest thing on earth. So never let nobody stop you. Always strive to be your best no matter what. And always be grateful and humble for the things that are presented to you in your life. You can follow me on IG at Dam2xdemi, so DamXDemi, and our podcast page is at Spilled Milk Pod.
And lastly, I would say the law of attraction is real. The law of attraction is real. I believe wholeheartedly in the power of attraction. We're powerful beings. We are powerful beings, and we have the power to make the things that we want manifest and our dreams come into fruition, as long as you work hard at it. And this is why it's important for us. It ties in being kind to yourself, because you have to be mindful of your thoughts, of your feelings, your emotions. What is it that you're feeling? Because you can attract that to yourself. What are you thinking? You can attract that to yourself, whether it's negative or positive. And what are you putting out there to the universe, into the world? What are you saying? Is what you're speaking positive? Are you speaking life into anyone or into something? Or are you taking away? Are you constantly complaining? Are you constantly talking negatively to someone, or the negative self-talk, you're doing it to yourself? That's a form of self-sabotage. We have to be cognitive of those things. And I say that because I am practicing that myself in my life. So I can only say this because it's a practice that I started doing just maybe for the past 2 years now. For me, that's fairly new, considering folks who have been practicing this for years. But I've been implementing this into my life, whether it's me being aware of my self-talk, being aware of my actions, so so that I know more or less what am I attracting to myself, you know? So that is another little tidbit that I would pass down, is just being aware of your thoughts, your actions, your words. What are you attracting to yourself? Many times we'll get into, let's say, an argument. There's a heated argument and we're upset about whatever, and right in that given moment, within that circumstance, we want to lash out at somebody, we want to do something. We really have to stop and think, like, all right, is the consequences greater than my actions? And if your answer is yes, the consequences are greater than the action, then you should be walking away. You need to stop and you need to walk away. And I say this, again, from my own personal experience, because we don't want to, do too much and then we regret it. You know what I mean? You are so powerful that you are able to stop yourself, take a deep breath, and think and ask yourself, is the consequences greater than my actions right now? And if your answer is yes, you need to walk away. You need to stop. You need to tell this person, listen, I can't continue this conversation right now. I need to cool down. Just walk away, or just stop doing whatever it is that you're doing. Really take on a deep breath, because you are then going to attract yourself a whole lot more than what you first set out. So yeah, at this point I'm rambling, but I believe wholeheartedly in the law of attraction, whether it's good things, bad things. That's why it's important for us to be able to nourish ourselves, nourish our minds with positive thinking, positive self-talk, and also surrounding yourself amongst positive individuals, people who are going to uplift you, people who are going to encourage you, people who are going to feed you nothing but positivity.
And this goes into what I want to impart on the next generation. So as a creative, and if you're a creative, you can identify with this as well. You know that we tend to give so much of ourselves emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And I realize that because I'm so open in that way, I need to create boundaries. And because I didn't have those boundaries, I started living my life according to everyone else's expectations of me. So I had to walk into 2019 fixing a serious flaw. And so I would tell the next generation to be comfortable with saying no, be comfortable with creating boundaries and holding people accountable to those boundaries when they're disregarding those boundaries. Being too nice has unfortunately caused some problems for me. And I think of times I felt like a doormat or agreeing to something I didn't have time for. Oh, that's a big one. I agree to something without thinking. And then after I said yes, when I really meant no, I start to feel resentful when my needs are not met. I mean, come on. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. You can identify with this. The flaw isn't being nice, I guess. I guess it's, having trouble with saying no or creating those boundaries. Yeah. Because then you start to feel overwhelmed and resentful as you try to be all things to people. And being all things to people will make you lose a part of yourself that's authentic and truthful to you. So yeah, I would say just please always remember to create boundaries and to hold people accountable and to hold yourself accountable for those boundaries.
That's what I would tell them. I don't think the kids of today have enough religion and they don't have enough spirituality. They're not being taught that these days. Kids are too busy in the machines. They're not being taught God. They're not being taught religion. They're not being taught spirituality. And I believe they need to learn that. And they need to start learning that at younger ages. We did that as kids. We learned that from kids. We went to church. We learned stuff as young children. They don't do that today. So that's what I would pass on to the kids of today. Learn some spirituality, learn what that means, and learn some religion.
Next generation, millennials. My message to you is love and respect. They walk hand in hand. Love yourself enough to respect yourself. Respect yourself enough to love yourself. Don't know what love is? Find out the true meaning of love. Learn the true meaning of love. And respect what you love, which is you. Your body is a temple. Your body is beautiful. You were created for a reason and for a purpose. You are a king. You are a queen. Treat your body and yourself as such. Kings and queens have respect. King and queen have love. So if you learn how to love yourself, you will then respect yourself. And if you learn to respect yourself, we will know that you do love yourself. And once you learn those things, you won't walk around calling yourself a thought. You won't walk around letting anybody sleep with you. You won't be proud of how many women you could bag. You won't be proud of how many men that you could bag. You won't be proud that you're taking a man or a woman from under a relationship. You won't be proud that you're cheating with somebody that's married. You won't be proud of that, because if you are proud of that, that means you don't respect yourself. And if you don't respect yourself, you don't love yourself. So my note to y'all millennials that's walking around thinking that I could do anything to my body, I could act any old way. The way you treat you is the way others will treat you. So if you treat yourself with respect, others will respect you. If you treat yourself with love, others will love you. Carry yourself accordingly. God bless.
And to answer the second question, I would tell someone younger than me, I would tell them, you should not be sneaky around your parents, because you might feel guilt in yourself. And either way, you have to be honest to your parents about what you do.
Oh, and to answer the second question, I would have to say to love God, but not only love God, but to love people. And to, if you don't love God, you certainly can't love people. And He's the one that can help you to love people. But it starts also with loving yourself. If you love yourself, if you don't love yourself, you can't love God. And if you can't love God, you can't love people. So I think it's important to know, I think it's important to just understand and be you, and know who you are. Since I know who I am, and I love God, I would want that for others as well.
All right, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this episode of Highly Melanated. As always, you can follow us on Twitter, which is H_melanatedpod. You can follow us on Instagram at Highly Melanated Podcast. You can follow us on our website, which has all our episodes, highlymelanatedpodcast.com. And if you had any questions, comments, and concerns, and or you want to participate in the next Highly Melanated Voices, please send an email to highlymelanatedpodcast@gmail.com. We'll let you know exactly what the new question will be, but it's coming soon. It's going to be pretty much probably the first episode of 2020. How we're going to start it off, we're not really sure just yet, but we'll keep you all updated on how this goes. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed what you heard, and we look forward to hearing more of your highly melanated voice. Have a great one, guys.